software is the backbone of modern businesses. And whether it's managing teams or in the field, securing access points or automating reports, everything relies on smart, reliable platforms. Today we speak to our CTO about Instacom software solutions, the development process, and how we ensure our technology remains at the forefront of innovation. Wayne Oliver, our CTO at Instacom, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you flew in this morning,
yes,
very early,
not too
to come and join us. It's interesting how the world has changed in the sense of in-office everything to where we can have businesses run with multiple people in different areas, right? Isn't that what technology is kind of enabling?
It is really, and it's quite a change from just 5 years ago, where it would have been almost unheard of to be able to do this, and now it's quite normal for us, at least, and it's the way we have adapted to the new way of doing business, and that allows us to grow and not be geographically locked.
Yeah. I think COVID kind of pushed a lot of that, right?
Definitely. We were forced to, and we learned from it. So
yeah.
Yeah.
It shows, if you look at our deployments for clients, it's the same thing. When people are forced to use new technology, it's easy to implement and things are moving. But when you give them an opportunity to gradually interface it if they want to, then technology is quite a bit of a challenge getting it into the right hands.
Yeah, I guess change is always resisted, but when it's thrust upon you, you have no choice, then it's easy to adapt.
Yeah, and let's start with the big picture. What is the Instacom's philosophy when it comes to software development? And how do we approach building solutions for clients?
I think the key there is to listen to the clients and understand what they want. We are building solutions for clients, not for ourselves or for, just some hypothetical. We have a client, they know exactly what they want. We engage with them, we listen to them, and we try and build what ticks all the boxes for them and for their business to make their business run efficiently. So that partnership means listening to your customer, understanding what they need, and trying to give him exactly what he asked for.
Obviously, being a salesman, that's the last thing you listen to.
Yeah.
We sales people's DNA is we go to the customer, we talk a lot and fast, and we tell them everything we can do, and then they go, but all I want really is this or that, right? And I've definitely learned a lot from, I think, change of the way businesses has been. In the past, a salesman didn't need to know what and how they make whatever they sell. Nowadays, it is such an intricate portion of how do we position a customer solution. And that's a whole different discussion when you speak to customers. And we have individuals like yourselves and the guys in your team that really makes that work for us. The reality is, if we design what we want, who's going to buy it?
Exactly.
Right. And I think that's exactly what you're also referring to. Times has changed. We have to speak to our customers and listen to their needs, and then building our benefits and features accordingly. We do a lot on new features. Tell us a little bit about that.
So, we do regular releases, regular updates to our platform. Just on listening to the customers, we have a dedicated team that goes and listens to the customers, engages with customers, and then brings back that information to our teams. And then our teams implement what was discussed with the customer. So we have releases bi-weekly. Sometimes, if they're bigger, it'll take 3 weeks. But we're almost always doing something with the release, bringing in a new feature. There's no time where we're not working on a new feature of some sort. Completely new modules, new projects. It's constant. There's always something new in the pipeline, and as well as just your normal maintenance, bug fixes, and that kind of thing. Just improving what we've already got, but then also just bringing in a stack of new features.
And that's an important portion, obviously, of technology. But I also think, the customer and how we positioned as Instacom, it's so different to just having one industry with one type of customer that you're working with. Tell us a little bit more about the different industries we deal with. And obviously, because, those features are different, but they benefit each other.
Yeah, look, I think the whole point of it, listening to the customers, is we're having customers from different industries mean there's a lot of overlap, and I think that's what you're referring to, the overlap. And we just have to try and design it intelligently enough that the feature can be used in either way. So that feature, if it's a patrol, for example, which can then maybe be used to do initiate checks. All right. So if you have to do 5 different checks, you can use a patrol. You just give it a different name, and so it's a different way of using software that's already there, and that just comes down to the configurability of the system. Whereas you can use so many of these different modules in ways that we don't think about when we build it. We have to try and think about all these different ways, but in the end, the customer has so much freedom that they can use the software in ways that we don't imagine.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's such an amazing platform in the sense that you can ad hoc utilize a lot of the features because the functionality is the same, but it's got a different output. And it really helps so many different areas. You know, when I go see customers and we talk about, regardless of industry, a specific function, 99% of the time we've already had a requirement for it, or it has already been built, which they can then just utilize, you know, and use. So that's always nice when you go to customers and you've got that. You know, hello, do you need this? And you're not sure because it's in a different industry maybe, and you speak to the team, your team, they go, oh yeah, we've built that already. And that type of confidence to the customers to then go back saying we've already got it. You know, what you've asked for, we can actually do it for you. It helps us grow so quick. We actually had a chat to one of the sales guys the other day. Actually invited me to go to a meeting. And the meeting that we've had gave me flashbacks of 14 years ago when we started. Just because they were so far detached from technology, just never looked at it. And eventually these individuals decided it's time to do it. And then he said to us, you know, what I want is I want this and that and this. But before you do it, I want to sign an NDA and a contract that you're not going to sell this, what I want, to other customers. I said to him, I haven't had a meeting like that for a long time. But what you're asking is already been built. You can actually start using it immediately. So it was actually very simple features. But the reality is that, you know, people need to adapt. I always say to the guys, if you don't adapt to technology, it will change you. One of the challenges that I think we've seen, and you're literally in the middle of this, and I've seen you in meetings where you look at customers. Let's call it probably one of the challenges that you deal with when you implement technology or you deliver or supply technology. You become a technology partner for customers. They ask you to build something, and then you build it, and then they say, that's not really what I wanted. Yeah. How do we deal with that? How can we make that better?
Look, I think that's going to happen. People change their minds, maybe forget about what they wanted, and what seemed like a good idea, you know, a month ago or 3 months ago, maybe not a good idea anymore. So we just need to adapt in those situations. And I think the fact that the system is so configurable and adaptable that often we can just switch that off with an option, right? And we build it that way. When we have a feature that we aren't sure about, or we think that the customer might be making a mistake, we won't go and tell the person, no, you're making a mistake. We'll rather build it, give them what they would really like, and if it doesn't work, we are able to switch it off for them.
You know, building something for someone with regards to the requirement, I think there's a big difference between theoretically and practically. Because theoretically it sounds great, but practically it's a different outcome to what they actually wanted. One of the mines that we've built a solution for had a supposedly checklist that some of the staff members had to go through. And they've got 8-hour shifts, but one of the checklists took them 4 hours to fill in. So theoretically it sounded great, but practically it was just not feasible to even utilize that type of thing. So you had to dumb it down. But I think we see that a lot, especially in the development and where you sit as an IoT platform. Typical development cycles at Instacom, you mentioned 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit of an overview of what that cycle looks like.
So it starts quite a long time before that, 2 to 4 weeks. But the actual development of writing the feature within the team, getting it through testing, takes about that 2 to 4 weeks. But behind the scenes, we have, like I mentioned, a team that are talking to customers, gathering requirements, prioritizing the different requirements based on number of customers we can help with this feature off the bat. And we take that priority list, discuss it within a team, and make a decision about which features to implement in this release. We then put it into a release. We have a team that will go through it, make sure that everybody in the team understands what needs to be done. We'll go through to development, through to testing and quality assurance, and eventually make it to production. And all of that, like I say, we see it in dev for like 2 to 4 weeks, but it's probably a 2-month process.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about testing the software before it gets to the customer's hands.
Yeah, so we have a team, a testing team. So before anything, even the smallest little changes that we do, before that gets to a customer, it should have gone through 5 pairs of eyes at least. And there's humans, so we still have mistakes occasionally, but it's 5 pairs of eyes that need to check every single thing we do, at least 5 pairs of eyes. So catching anything that's larger, any kind of problems, that's all part of our quality assurance to make sure these things work there. Like I say, you can never be 100%. There's always a bug. It doesn't matter who you are, but we do our utmost to make sure that those are minimal.
Yeah, I think with these type of testing before it gets into a customer's hands, if you do something small, which me as a sales individual my whole life never thought about, something new or something changed could break something else.
Yes, it is possible.
Yeah, we've seen that so many times in the sense that we build a feature and then it actually contradicts something else that's in the system. Do we have a little bit of a soft launch before we go into full production?
Yes, we do. We generally do a targeted launch for a select few customers, usually the ones who are already looking for that new feature. Run it with those customers for a while, and then we'll update accordingly. So, yeah, because of our system being multi-part with a front end, a web front end, an app that we use that's actually the boots on the ground guys using the app. That was what's generally updated last, right? So we make sure that that's the work tool is always working and not updated unnecessarily.
Yeah. Now we've seen some challenges where the different Android versions changes.
Yeah, I mean,
don't they always give us an heads up? Is that how planet Earth works? Is that wishful thinking?
Yes, that's definitely wishful thinking. I think, well, at the same time, there are sort of, preview releases and all of this, but the rate at which Android operates and increments is a lot faster than the way the hardware manufacturers catch up. So we could have Android, we'll go back a little bit of time, we'd have a lot of manufacturers using Android 8, but the current Google is on Android 13 or something like that. So then by the time that we get to Android 10 on the devices, we're on 14 on the development branch from Google. So it is, to keep up is a bit of thing. You have to know what was in that version for those particular devices. Security on devices is becoming a big thing. So access to privacy, that kind of thing, sometimes prevents us from getting information we need because of the line of work we're in. We want to be able to identify a device, but Google doesn't want you to be able to identify a device because that's a way to steal private information. That's not what we're doing. We use a work tool. So we use it a little bit different to the standard Android user.
Yeah. And what I've seen in the past, we don't necessarily try and deploy on brand new Android versions for the sake of even if it was Apple or iOS or Brew operating systems or whichever one, just because brand new launched, including Android systems, have challenges. I mean,
Yes.
I do an update on my Android, and then suddenly my emails doesn't come through, or something has changed, and I've seen many different things that happens on these new ones. Do we deploy our solution maybe a couple of months after, or do we run maybe 2 Android versions behind the market, or how do we position that?
Well, since we have our devices, our rugged devices, are already a little bit behind the way the testing goes. The rugged devices, that they take a little bit longer to get to market. So we do run a little bit behind on the Android versions necessarily with our hardware. But that's not to say we don't support and try and support all versions. But our rugged devices tend to run a little bit behind the main curve.
But I mean, that is important for us to secure or ensure reliability.
Yes, 100%.
Because obviously we have lives at risk. If our solution doesn't work, people lose their lives. So it's important for us to make sure it works before it gets into the hands actually using the application.
Yeah, 100%. And you want reliable, predictable systems, and that's what we've got with our devices.
Yeah. And how important is the devices? If you look at, I mean, we talk about software now, and that's great, but the hardware is the enabler. I mean, that is the tool.
Yeah, that's the tool. We need that tool to run our software, right? So that the device is critical. That's why we have a curated list of devices that we know works very well with the software, and we work with the manufacturers to make sure that hardware is going to be consistent. We know that we can repair it. We know all of these things beforehand. So it's not a lottery when we get a device. It's not a new thing that we have to drop everything and try and figure this out. All our devices go through loads of testing before they even get to install our software on it. So it's a rigorous process.
Yes, there's an episode that we're going to talk about hardware specifically. How important it is to make sure that the hardware actually does what it's supposed to. Be sure to keep an eye out for that episode as well if you need to know a little bit more about the hardware component. But the reality is that if you do not have the right hardware, the software can't do what it's supposed to.
That's right, yeah.
Something simple, if the hardware doesn't have a camera and you have something that's supposed to take pictures, that's going to be a problem.
Exactly.
Compressing the data, not just the actual amount of data, but which we receive or manage it, but making it more efficient so it doesn't necessarily drain the battery. There are some key areas that we look at when we develop software, to make sure that it actually lasts the whole day, because a lot of people, most people that workforces around the globe uses our solution. What are some of those tick boxes that you look at when you develop?
Yeah, I think that's there's a lot of things like you mentioned that you have to look at. You have to make sure that you're doing things efficiently. Not the software has to be written in a way that it's not being wasteful. So clean, concise. It's very important. I think it's the actual specifics might be a bit much for you, but it's about making sure that services aren't running in the background unnecessarily, taking battery time, taking battery life on the device. That is an important consideration.
And compressing the actual photo.
Yeah, so we compress that so that it just gets to our back end faster, saved in a smaller capacity, much manageable, and with maintaining readability and the rest of it, so that we don't necessarily have to have a 2 megabyte photograph of a slip if a 50K photograph is going to suffice.
Yeah, and those things are important when you look at what type of software technology partner you're going to implement in your business. If the battery is drained because of your application, the device isn't going to necessarily work the whole day. And that doesn't help for the purpose in the sense of being more efficient and obviously profitable. So if you look at the software and streamlining it within inside of your business operations, is there any standout features or modules that clients really enjoy, make a difference in their lives?
I mean, I think with all the different clients using it in different ways, that's different for each person or each customer. One feature that really stood out a while back, and I know that we got a lot of praise for, was our templates for checklists, right? So we have our checklists. You complete a checklist, and you'll get a PDF with the questions and answers and the rest of it. A few years back, we brought in a feature where we allowed a customer to upload their own template with a Word doc, and that would allow him to get a branded, formatted PDF of his checklist. And I think that one was a really nice feature. People really enjoyed that one.
And that's a digitized, let's call it clipboard, but in hours.
Yeah.
Instead of going through a whole development cycle, you've actually created this platform that it ad hocs accommodates any type of template that you're using.
Yeah, and the thing about it is you can change it as a customer. You don't need to engage with anyone to change that. You can go and make the changes you need to the questions and how you want it structured on your checklist. You update your template, and you don't need to interact with any developer or even with our support or anything. You can handle it all on your own.
Yeah, I think one of the things we mentioned an episode or two back is allowing clients to be empowered, to be able to almost self drive their innovation within their template built. But it also allows them to do what they want. They don't have to phone us for it. I think a big portion of our success lies within the support within our company. And tell us a little bit about that support from a development perspective.
Yeah, so I mean, with our developer team having we have a support team which would be our first line, right? But any kind of issue or anything that's identified by the support team will get through to our product team in record time. So if we did identify a problem out in the field, our support team, which would be our first line, would get the feedback from the customer, send it through to our product team, who will go and recreate that situation, and bring it through to our dev team, usually within hours or days at worst. So that way we can get very reactive to the support calls. So when a customer calls in to say, I've got a problem with this, if it's a bug, we are very proactive in getting those things resolved.
Great. And what role does clients' feedback play in our development process, and how do we stay aligned?
Yeah, I mean that's critical. I think what we spoke about at the start of this was that we have a team that's constantly engaged with the customers. That's outside of our sales team or account managers who are building a relationship. They have the opportunity to bring in one of our members from our product team to go and listen to the customer's requirements. And if there's a problem, go out there and understand what the challenge is that customer is facing, and then come back, bring it to our dev team, translate it into geek, and let the developers run with it and sort it out. I think that's critical. We sometimes, if we want to take any kind of negative, is we too reactive, which can sometimes throw off our flow, because if we identify a problem, we want to fix it right away.
Yes. Yeah, it's very important, I think, as a technology partner, again, coming back to that holding hand within every single customer that we deploy in. It's not a box drop like we used to have many years ago. This type of software solution has got a little bit of a heartbeat. And today it does what it should, and tomorrow it doesn't. And I think that also is a big portion in the question for any company out there is, who's the right technology partner that I've got to implement in my company? Because it doesn't stop. It's not a deliverable and then a month later you don't talk to your technology partner anymore. It is literally an ongoing process.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't have companies like Microsoft and the like that existed if it wasn't something that constantly evolves. We'd all still be using DOS, and I'd probably be okay with that, but most probably wouldn't like it.
Oh, very interesting. things change as fast. I remember one morning we woke up and we got a lot of calls where Android has gone from 9 to 10 overnight, auto update, and no solution on planet Earth was prepared for the new security features that they've put in there. The previous 3 or 4 or 5 version updates over the previous 3 or 4 years didn't matter, it didn't make an impact. But this one did, and that means that next morning you wake up and some of your staff members can't do what they're supposed to. You've automated, you've digitized, and now it doesn't work. And so when you don't have a technology partner and you're at a box drop, who do you find? Where do you get the support to be able to do it? And we did a quick fix as soon as we could to accommodate the new features of Android, but it took months to rebuild the system to accommodate the new things that these guys has put in. So it's crucially important to make sure that we have the right technology partner when implementing technology within your business.
Yeah.
We've got constantly new features that we build with our customers, but there's also a portion that we don't just add features. We do a whole new development. Customers asking argument's sake for the business intelligence that we've put together now, which will officially launch this year. Literally in the next month or so. Maybe by the time you listen to this series, it might be launched at the time. It is around the corner. We've got a soft launch internally, which we've had with some of our customers that we worked with for many years. But what are some of the new exciting technologies that we're bringing into play?
So right off the bat, we have a campus management app solution. We have an estate management. They're kind of similar, but it's different use cases. Those are imminent. The release is imminent for those two modules. We also have a task module, which is a complete task management solution for anything you can think of. Again, we're trying to do that. We give you this module, and you can do with it whatever you like, whether it's a kind of a help desk or a scheduling tasks or whatever it is. You open it, but it's tasks and task updates and the rest of it.
And typically that would be sent from your management platform. So whichever management you have pushing task out to the workforce out in the field, that would actually fill that gap.
That's right. Yeah. So if we had to take an example. A job card, like someone needs to go and fix the printer. We could send a job card, send a task for fixing that. Someone calls in, we create the task, send out the person can update the task, attach a checklist to it. Whatever we need to do to complete that task. Again, the customer gets to define that entire flow of that. It's completely customizable.
Yeah. But with these new features, and I mean, you say campus management and estate, I've obviously had some eyes on that portion of it, because of marketing asked me to have a look at the icon designs, which is great. So I know about them, but I don't know what the features looks like. It is exciting though, I must say. But with all these new development of these new things like task, again, that's customer requirements.
That's right. Yes.
So is there ever a space where we decide what would be great for the market, or would that be not maybe the best move for the company?
I think that our base system, we made those decisions, and we made a system that was configurable and adaptable. And I think that's where we cornered the market or did the things that we're supposed to do correctly. Thereafter, we listened to customers and let customers design for themselves within our platform. So I think our role in this is making sure that they are able to do whatever they need to do with the platform and make it, I wouldn't say infinitely, but very close to infinitely configurable.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big keys. When you look at IoT as a platform. Wayne Oliver, CTO of Instacom, thank you for coming through, flying in and making time in your schedule for us to get some insights in software and the development of it and how do we implement these things. Every single one of you guys have a look at the new solutions that we're bringing into play. Campus management, as Wayne mentioned, the estate management and the task portion of it. Looking forward to many more to come, many more features and we'll see you in the next episode.